brief introduction. I am Saadia Ali, a bachelor's degree graduate from Mount Kenya University in education science, specialization particularly chemistry and biology, a trained peer counselor, and also a published author, a published writer with 2 books in the market right now. Today we are discussing about behavior change, and particularly we are going to focus on the effects of education on behavior change. It's good to understand what is behavior and what do we mean by the term behavior change, and then we can come down and then we can discuss on how education impacts the behaviors that we have. To start with, behaviors are actions or responses that we, the actions and responses that we respond towards a situation, or the responses that we give towards a situation. That is a behavior. And then when you consistently do the same actions and you give the same responses to stimuli, we say it has become a habit. So usually it is advisable to change a behavior before it is a habit. And how do we change the way we react? How do we alter? Change is basically what is here and how can we get here. It could be that we are in the negative side and we are moving to the positive side, or it could be that we have been in the positive and then we are leaning towards the negative side. In this podcast, we usually focus on how to change from negative behaviors to positive behaviors, and by then we adopt positive habits and that propel our growth and make us better human beings. So today our focus is education. How does education change our behaviors? How does education enable us to alter our behaviors, our actions towards situations? How does education make us respond to stimulus in a better way? We are going to see the 2 sides of it. We will look at the impact of education, and then we are going to see also in the successive episode, we are going to see the impacts or the effects of lack of education towards our behaviors. So be with us and let's go. Education, basically, how are we defining education in this setup? We are trying to define education in a holistic manner. Education is just beyond acquiring knowledge and skills for this setup. We are trying to think education as a collection of learning experiences. We are trying to see education as multifaceted process that people gain new information based on different things. We will have to look at which type of education, more like the way we have been into the formal education setup. Whenever we hear the word education, we think it is primary, secondary, university, you know. So we are going to address how that education can change behaviors of a person. But I want us also to look beyond the formal education, beyond the curriculum education, you know, self-education and how it impacts in the behavior. So our first episode will be education, which is broken down into two facets. The formal education that we gain from curriculum, and then we have the self-education that we actually teach ourselves what we need to change from our behaviors. So if we break down the education that we get into the formal and the self-education, both of them wired in one, actually do 2 things to alter our behaviors. The first thing that education does to alter our behaviors is it gives us knowledge and awareness. Knowledge and awareness both are very broad terms which cannot be defined in one word or in few words. Knowledge, basically, I'm trying to think of it as a collection of ideas, information, which impacts in a person's way of thinking, problem solving, and decision making. By getting new knowledge, we alter our behaviors. There's a study that was done and a theory that was developed as a result that people tend to change their health habits, their unhealthy habits to become healthy habits. People tend to change their health-related habits whenever there is awareness, whenever they come to know there is a threat related to this behavior. So for example, someone is smoking, someone is eating unhealthy food. When they come to know that this behavior may lead to a health challenge, they tend to change the behavior. From that theory, we learn that any human being, if they are given the knowledge, they are going to have some change in their behavior. So the first prerequisite is education gives us knowledge. So if that education is giving us useful knowledge in our setup, we can change our behaviors. Let's look at the African setup, basically, before we go to the Western education. The African setup used to be like our education was so informal that people just used to learn through observation, and then they come and do few things in life, and they may not maximize their potentials. And then with Western education now came that someone can have more than one skills. Someone can go to school, learn this, and then they can also have this one, and then they can have skill A, skill B, and skill C, and then all of the skills give them a source of income. Particularly in the African setup, in the African informal education, the behaviors that people used to have towards education was not to gain income or something like that. It was just some source of living only, and for livelihood. But here comes now the Western education radically changed our behaviors towards learning and towards the skills that we acquire. Right now, people learn so that they can make income out of their skills and knowledge. So that is what happens when we get education, and when the education now we have broken down. Remember, if you're with me, we said the education part we are talking about is the part of knowledge. The knowledge that someone gains will make them change their behaviors. For example, we can have an example set up in also campaigns that are done in schools. There was a time when school dropouts among the female students was really skyrocketing, and it was really high due to early pregnancies and those things. Nowadays, the cases have really lowered down because of the activism, the awareness that people have gone. People are given information based on what is happening. You know, it's not good to drop school out. You're going to be independent. You're going to get financial income. You'll become a better person. All those things have really made. If you see like also the spread of things like HIV/AIDS, with knowledge that now people have really integrated into their lives, that there are tablets. You know, when first ARVs were introduced, people never used to take them, fearing that it may cause more diseases. So, but right now, with the knowledge that the knowledge that they have got through the different sources, made them actually welcome it, and yeah, their behaviors towards taking the drugs have changed. So when we say knowledge, we mean any source of information, that knowledge from any source of information, let me say, any useful information that a person gets can change their behavior. We are going to see what if a person does not get knowledge, how will their behavior impact in a later session. Let's come to awareness. How do awareness impact the behavior of a person? Knowledge and awareness are totally different things. We may be knowledgeable, we may have the information, but we may not be aware of it, you know. Awareness is a broader term. Actually, awareness, how awareness impacts behavior change can be a session of its own. But if I just try to break down into smaller pieces right now, awareness does one thing to our minds. Awareness is bringing to our conscious minds, showing us things that were hidden from us. It is the same situation, but this thing was hidden from us, and now it's coming to our conscious minds, and we are going to see it in a broader daylight. So once we become aware of something, it is really very, it's really very easy to change that behavior. So it's upon reflection that someone now, of course, through the campaigns that people do, through the social media, through the people you relate with, social setups, we try to have awareness of a lot of things. For example, hygiene. There is this thing that people used to do a lot when we were in primary, and hygiene, awareness about hygiene and washing hands, the effect of washing hands in someone's health habits. So you can even see people coming to schools, teaching children how to wash their hands. These children have the knowledge that if they wash their hands, they're going to get better health, or their risk of being unhealthy will reduce. But actually, doing it, sacrificing a whole day, saying today is the day for washing hands, that is what we call awareness. For example, conserving environment is something that comes with awareness. Until someone consciously, until it is brought in our conscious brains that we need to place our trash properly, we need to plant trees, until we think about these things and we see the logic behind it and it comes to our awareness, that is when we try to change our behaviors. So knowledge and awareness are two important facets or two important aspects that education gives us, which makes us change behaviors. In those few examples, you've seen all these things that happen. It starts with awareness. For example, when people are just talking about the negative things that are happening around us, when people tend to speak out in social media, when people tend to create an aura like that they are telling people what people did not know. We may be walking, but we don't know we are suffering. But when someone brings that suffering to our awareness is when we realize, okay, I need to change. So that is one of the, for example, even early marriages, it's a favorite topic of mine anyway, but the early marriages that used to happen, people were not aware of what maybe the girl child could do if she takes in the path of not marrying and getting education. But now with prevalent awareness and all these movements that have empowered women and all these things have created now the early marriages to reduce and made more girls to go to school and something like that. So there was a research, I'll conclude with this, a kind of a factor or something. There was a research that was done among the residents in US in educated and uneducated families, their exposure to smoking and also their exposure to smoking more so and its causes of lung cancer. So there was massive awareness in schools about smoking and the effects it has in causing lung cancer. That really reduced the rate of it has really reduced the rate of people using smoking or using smoking as a habit or drug, whatever. So it has reduced massively according to that research that was done. And you can even see around us, for any behavior to be changed, there must be that awareness or knowledge. For example, if school, within a boarding school, the children, the students there, the adolescents may be quite repulsive or something, that the teachers and the administration will be facing challenges. Instead of trying to impose them to change their behaviors radically, they can have posters around the school to create awareness that a rebellious adolescent may grow up to this, bringing workshops within the school. Those are some of the remedies that can actually change behaviors through awareness. The second thing that education does is it changes our beliefs and attitudes. Whenever you get new information, it affects your beliefs. Ask yourself, the last time, what did you believe about something? And a random thing, for example, perhaps going to the gym, eating unhealthy food. There's some belief that you had about pursuing a career. What are the beliefs that you had about them? And right now, what are the beliefs that you have? What could have changed? Our attitudes and beliefs are highly impacted by the formal education system, if I start with that. When we are going to school, we barely have zero attitudes towards things, but depending on where you study from, you gain attitudes and beliefs. And there's something very interesting that happens when we get new beliefs and attitudes. The brain is wired cognitively to the things that we used to do. So it's wired for the old habits based on the old beliefs. So whenever we get new beliefs, it contradicts with the habits that we had and the behaviors that we had. And then now we have some dissonance, we have some cut out, like this is what you have believed, this is the new information, it's giving you new belief, and then you develop a new attitude and this is the action you used to do. So now, depending on the conflict and how you take the conflict, it can propel you towards making a change to gain good behavior. For example, let me take, as a teacher, student and exams, school setup and students are my favorite things. So let's take, for example, a student who doesn't read during exams and used to fail exams. So this student used to have been having certain grades in certain subjects for a period of long time, that they have come to believe that their behaviors may not be attributed to their results, and nobody actually made them aware maybe. And later on, the teacher is changed. A new teacher is brought to the school. Whenever the subject teacher is changed, the student may start improving. Why? Because the attitude and the beliefs that they had towards the other teacher has gone. Perhaps the other teacher was not harming them, was teaching very well, but maybe to some extent other students hate the teacher, or even at personal level may have some unconscious dislike towards the teacher, which was actually making their behavior towards reading the subject not to be at maximum. But during the change of the teacher, that is what most students experience in school anyway, that they have really improved. It is their attitudes and beliefs that have changed with the new information. What is the new information they have got? That teacher A was changed, teacher B is here. The presence of this new teacher, that attitude and belief that now this person may be better actually, or this teacher is better, will improve their attitude, and then their behaviors towards the subject will change. You may see them reading more often, trying to consult the teacher and be present at the teacher's place, and etc., etc. So this inconsistency in beliefs and attitudes, and the behaviors usually come with new information. So as we gain knowledge and awareness, now next thing is our beliefs and attitudes are touched. So whenever their beliefs and attitudes are touched, it's time now to sit down. Instead of defending our beliefs and attitudes, we sit down and then we try to see, how can I impact these new attitudes towards my behaviors for proper change to occur. This awareness, and usually the awareness that it sticks, it hits us, the attitudes and beliefs that we have about something when we get ourselves into trouble. For example, somebody believed that from their young childhood or anything, that a young girl, because of course there's a lot of forces that gives us certain beliefs and attitudes. For example, somebody believes that early marriage is good for a girl. Most of African societies, we had believed that. But again, the Western education came. More than saying, don't let your girls into early marriages, the Western education really changed the attitudes and beliefs about women's roles. So now a woman was not seen just as a person who stays at home and cooks for the children. Actually, it was introduced that yes, a woman can go to school. That has impacted the behaviors that the women have now, and the behaviors that the society has at large towards. And the examples are very many, but usually we can only be aware. It hits our awareness, and we come to know that was actually my belief, and this is my current belief, and we compare it to our behaviors whenever we get a massive amount of new information or new learning experience. And you will need to do that. You need to look for new informations to challenge your beliefs. That's what makes a person to be a critical thinker. It's what makes a person to be a problem solver, innovator, and everything. Challenging our beliefs is very important, and for them to impact in our behaviors positively. And now the last part of this one is, now we talked about the formal education, more of it, though now I want to emphasize on the impact of self-education in making behavior change. How does self-education impact? These are the whatever I was discussing, knowledge and awareness, and then attitudes and beliefs. Mostly we acquire them through mainstream education. Now let's think of the person who takes an initiative to educate themselves about a certain thing. That is what we call self-education, taking initiative to teach yourself, to learn new things, so that you change or alter your behaviors. And then we'll see also that after self-education, we are going to look at impacts of self-education on behavior change, and actually how self-education is a powerful tool to change our behaviors depending on the kind of behaviors that we are seeking forward. That will be our next video. Please stay with me. And as we also discussed, lack of education can lead what? Finally, to conclude on this, I would like to just mention some subtle behaviors that may be changed, societal behaviors actually, not personal behaviors. For societal behaviors like lifestyle, eating habits, the lifestyle people live, which ranges from the foods people eat, the environment people live in, the cost of living, and all those societal behaviors that we have, which may be because we don't have education. We are going to have that one delved deeper in a few. Please stay with us for the next episode so that you get to learn the role of self-education in behavior change, and most importantly, everything that we said about education, what will happen when someone does not have the proper education.